And the third thing I'm going to recommend is what we call the vision exercise. To look at your life, and we divide your life into 7 areas. There's relationships, there's finance and money, there's your job and career, there's health and fitness, there's fun and recreation, there's what we call personal, which is just, things I want to own, things I want to do just for the sake of doing them. This includes your spiritual goals, your emotional goals, your educational goals. And lastly, contribution. What difference do you want to make in the world? What legacy do you want to leave? And if you were to look at each of those areas and say, 1 year from now, what would have I liked to have accomplished in that area of my life? And then say, okay, that's a goal I'm going to set for myself. Now you've got 7 goals. Now for some people, 7 goals may be too many. You might want to say, well, that's more than I want to take on. Maybe I'm going to prioritize and pick 3 or 4. That's fine. We don't want you to overwhelm yourself. But if you really want a balanced life, and a very fulfilling life in all areas, so you're healthy, and you're happy, and you're successful, and you've got a great energy in your body, and you're getting out there and making a difference in the world, and you're growing your financial world, you're going to have a great balance. So we want you to look at all those areas of your life, and then think about specifically what's one thing I want to accomplish in every one of those areas. And if you do that, you're going to have a really great year, and you'll have a head start in setting your goals. So let's look at some of the common traps and pitfalls that people fall into that stop them from setting goals correctly and also from achieving their goals. Number 1 is what we call unrealistic goals. People say, okay, I want to do something that's totally impossible for them, but they just got it out of some place like the cultural norms. They see everyone wants to be a millionaire. So we'll have people in our seminars that are making $35,000 a year, and we'll say, what's your financial goal for the next year? And they go, $1 million. We'll have people making $500,000 a year. What's your goal? $1 million. And so there's this external cultural norm that says, oh, $1 million, but it's not really necessarily relevant to your situation. One of the concepts that we teach is that there are 4 levels that you can be setting goals from. First is called repair and recovery. If you're sitting there and you've just come out of bankruptcy, or you've lost your job, or you have no foundation, meaning you don't have any kind of infrastructure to start a business with, no assets, nothing you can invest with, making $1 million in 1 year, it's not impossible, but it's not likely. And so you want to say, what would be a next step up for me to get me from repair and recovery to what we call foundation? I remember when I first started my company, I didn't have a typewriter. I had 1 phone in my house. I can remember where we had literally 5 splitters taking phones off to 5 phones a year later because we didn't have enough money at that point to even go out and rent an office space. So you have to build up this infrastructure and then create this foundation. Are you coming from foundation? Do you have the basics? Do you have an education? Do you have the skills you need? Do you have the competencies? Do you have the relationships, the network, whatever? And then once you have that, you can move into a place we call abundance. A lot of people don't have any abundance. No abundance of time, no abundance of friends, no abundance of network, no abundance of opportunities. But in my life, I have an abundance of all that. And eventually you get to a level where you can set goals from that, where I can build huge dreams. We can set up offices in 25 cities around the world. We can invest in all kinds of programs and projects and workshops to develop. So the last stage is called mastery. We want to get to mastery, but you can't go from repair and recovery to mastery. If you just got out of the hospital and you had cancer surgery, you're not going to be running a 100-yard dash in 9 seconds or a 26-mile marathon, next month. And so your goals need to be relevant based on where you start from. So really sit back and say, okay, is this a goal that's believable for me? Another thing you want to look at, is this a goal, is this something I really want? Because so many of our goals are created out of shoulds. I should lose weight. I should exercise more. I should eat more healthy. I should do this thing with my family. But if it's not something you want to do, it's going to show up year after year on your goal sheet, and it's going to be one that you never get done. And why don't you get it done? Because deep down, it doesn't have any juice for you. There's no passion. There's no excitement about it. The things that really make you go, wow, I want that. I have a friend named Alan Cohen, and he has a little test he does. It's called Hell Yes, Hell No. And if someone were to ask you to do something and you went, oh man, I want to do that, that's a hell yes. Or someone says, wow, you want to go on a cruise with 5 people you went to high school with that teased you all day long? You go, oh, hell no, I don't want to do that. If you don't get a hell yes, then it's automatically a hell no. And so what happens is you want to get passionate. You want to find out what are the things that really turn you on, that you have juice for, they're going to make you want to get up and out of bed in the morning. And so it's important to have your goals be based on what you truly want. And to do that, you really need to look inside at your inner child. What is that part of you want? And also look at what we call your essential or your high self. What is spirit calling you to do? What is being evoked from you by the universe as it's evolving and you're evolving with it? So you want to look deeply at that. And the third trap that most people fall into is that once they start to set a goal, what happens is they start to surface considerations, fears, and roadblocks. Now, what are those? Let's say I'm setting a goal that I want to have a 5,000 square foot house on Pacific Coast Highway in Malibu by December 13th, 2014. And then I start to write that down. And I go, oh man, that's a big house. That's a lot of money. Malibu, I don't know if I can afford that. I'm going to make it 2018, or I'm going to make it a 3,000 square foot house. And so we start to shrink our goal, or we put it further out into time rather than stick with what it is we truly, really want. And so I'm going to ask you, when you start setting these goals, not to be surprised that thoughts come up, like, oh, I can't afford that. Oh, if I was going to do that, I'd have to ask my dad for money. I hate asking my dad for money. You're going to have fears that come up. Oh, I don't know if I can do that. I might get rejected. What if that doesn't happen? We'll lose our house. And the third thing is you're going to become aware of obstacles. Those are things in the outside real world that can stop you. You know, maybe you want to build a house near some water and your wife wants to be in the mountains. She doesn't want to be near the ocean. She doesn't like the ocean, doesn't like the sound of it, whatever it might be. That's an obstacle. Maybe you want to start a business, but the laws in your state don't permit that kind of a business to take place in a home. So you've got some obstacles to overcome. Maybe you have a lack of money. Maybe there's some skills you need that you don't have, or you don't have the team in place. So all of those things are going to come up in your brain. You're going to start thinking about them. And what most people do when they see those is they see that as a big stop sign. Oh, I can't have that. I better give up that goal. That's not possible. And I'm going to encourage you, don't see it as a stop sign. See it as exciting. Wow, now I'm seeing what are these beliefs and fears and considerations and roadblocks that have been unconscious, that have been stopping me all along, but I didn't even know they were there. And now I know they're there, I can deal with them. I can do some work on changing my beliefs. I can do some work on releasing my fears. I can do some work on teaming up with solutions and finding ways to break through these obstacles. So you don't want to be run by your fears, your considerations, and outside roadblocks. You want to be the master of those, but you can only do it if you address them rather than shy away from them. So don't let considerations, fears, and roadblocks stop you.